Hi there! I recently took part in the 2021 GMTK Game Jam, a game development marathon where we only had 48 hours to make and submit a game around the theme Joined Together. Joining me with this jam was Kevin from Montawo Games, as well as Flavio from Golem Studios. It was a lot of fun and definitely the biggest jam I've joined. In fact, there were 21,000 participants who submitted over 5,800 games, which is incredible.
This year, for 2021, the theme is Joined Together.
Joined Together.
I want to see games where at least two elements are connected together in some way.
After the theme was revealed, we headed over to Miro to brainstorm ideas. The one we settled on was a snake-like game where you would try to get as many people as possible to form a chain. The rest of the brainstorming session was spent deciding what the goal or challenge would be. We decided to have obstacles that would fly in from all sides, and our goal would be to survive for as long as possible. After all that, we actually started on making the game. I initially focused on the movement. I had a list of game objects, and per script, I made each of them try to stay an exact distance away from the person in front of them. This worked surprisingly well for movement, and it felt great to move around. After playing around with the values to make them feel right, I made sure the player would die properly to the obstacles, and then I went to bed. After waking up, I started working on the power-ups. There were to be 3 different ones that each gave special power-ups. I started with a wizard who would make your whole chain faster. This was easy to implement as all I had to do was change the speed variable in my movement controller when he was in the party. Afterwards, I implemented the king, who would attract people into your group, kind of like a magnet. I ended up using the point effector to do this, but I had to play around with a bunch of values to make sure it felt right. Originally, we had it so that there was always exactly one person you could add to your group, like in Snake, where there's always like one apple. But if the range was too big for the king's magnet effect, you would get insane scenarios where the king instantly recruits someone who's just spawned every frame. To fix this, we just ended up changing the spawning so that a new player would spawn only once every couple seconds. Lastly, I implemented the knight who would protect your chain from one hit from an obstacle and destroy it. He was definitely the most finicky, as there were a bunch of annoying but generic problems with collisions that you would expect, but eventually I got that working. Next, I started composing the music that you heard at the beginning of this video. I was going for a sort of medieval vibe, and I think I hammered on that vibe pretty well. I also had a lot of fun doing the sound effects, which is what I did next. Ah! Ah! Ooh! On the final day, there was mostly bug fixing to be done, as well as some polishing. I reworked the obstacle spawning system so that it increased at a proper rate. On the way this happened. Afterwards, we had our game play tested. We took the information we got from that and adjusted some values slightly, and also implemented a score and high score system for the game over screen. We also did a bunch of final small things like implementing the menus, making sure there are no bugs, and setting up the store page. With the deadline nearing, we started building for all the platforms. While testing out some of these builds, however, we noticed some weird sound bugs with ambient sounds like those of the saw blades and boulders not ending properly. So we had to quickly try and fix them and build all of our projects over again. There were plenty of server problems, as this was a very big event.
Let's go. Let's hit refresh. See how long it takes me.
Submission to GMTK Game Jam. Yeah, okay. Now add the... There was an error with your request! But we finally submitted our final builds with only 20 minutes left remaining. This is what the game ended up being. You can try it in the link in the description for free, as well as in fact all of the games that were submitted. I now know after revisiting our game that the sound bug fix didn't end up working 100% of the time. It can still occasionally and inconsistently show up. Nonetheless, I'm quite happy with our end product. We had a lot of time to properly polish our game, and it feels very fun to play despite its rather simple idea. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free and it helps me out a lot. Thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you next time.